Dave, how often do people forget to mention a secret bank account during divorce, and how often do you catch them?
Well, when you talk about divorce, let's just back off a little bit. Where somebody is, when two people are getting divorced, if the one person is a salary earner and or both people are salary earners and they basically have too much month left at the end of the money, the chances of there being any hidden cash are really, really low. So in a case where there's a divorce taking place, it really, if there isn't a lot of cash that can be hidden, the person might have hidden a couple of $1,000s away, but really at the end of the day, it's not going to be worth chasing it. The people where it does become interesting are those that own their own companies, have share options, or part of a larger company, a major group, whatever it happens to be. And they have the ability to manipulate their funds. So they have a lot of investments. They are able to move money around. They're able to move money offshore, inshore, etc., etc. And those are the type of people who will end up hiding money.
How often do you find people forget to mention a secret bank account during divorce, and how do you catch them?
It's interesting. It's normally the party who has money who will then have a secret bank account. So if the male, which it generally is
Most of
earning
the time.
more, then they're the ones who are likely to try and hide away the cash. However, if the female's earning more, they're not immune to hiding cash away either. So, looking at the situation, how often does it happen? Probably not that often, but it does happen. So, when two people get divorced, instead of just saying, look, sorry, been a great ride. Cheers, we're out of here. Let's split the assets. I'll help you look after the kids and walking away from it. No, I hate her guts. I'm not going to give her a cent. Comes into play. And when people get into that emotional state or that emotional stage of their life, instead of being honest about it and saying, right, I'm worth $1 million. Here's your 500. I'll take 500. Let's call it quits. No, now there's this big incentive to, I want to take 400,000 and hide it offshore. Well, I've got Bitcoin. I'm just not going to mention it to the wife that, 10 years ago I bought 10 Bitcoin and I'm now worth $1 million. That type of thing. So that's the type of thing that gets ignored by clients and not mentioned. But it's not just not mentioning bank accounts. At times, it's also giving up a bank account which has a percentage of the money in. And I think that's best illustrated by an example that we had. We were acting for the wife in a divorce case. Her husband was the major breadwinner, so he was the one with all of the money. And he called her up one day and we went into a meeting, and we'd found that there was traces of Bitcoin on a computer that we'd managed to image. So we knew that he had probably been dabbling in Bitcoin, and we mentioned it to him. And he came in and he said, yeah, guys, sorry about it. I forgot all about these Bitcoin.
I forgot.
But you know what? This is when Bitcoin was trading at about $2,000 a Bitcoin, which isn't that long ago, actually. And what happened is he came into the office and he sat down and he said he helped his wife very calmly, very civilly, set up a wallet for herself, showed her how it worked, and then proceeded to open up his wallet on his phone, show her that he had 40 Bitcoin in the wallet, and transferred 20 Bitcoin to her. $40,000, bang, and he walked out the door. My client turned around to me and said, Dave, there's something wrong here.
That
He's
was
fought
too
me
easy.
every step of the way. And now, because you mentioned Bitcoin, he walks in and he says he forgot about this account and he pays it without any arguments, any fuss. There's something wrong. Go have a look for me. Yeah, okay. So we go and have a look. And what we did is we traced so Bitcoin is an open ledger. And you're able to see where money comes from and goes to. You can't see the name, but you can see the wallet. And what we saw was a wallet that contained 200 Bitcoin. A day before had transferred 40 Bitcoin to another wallet. And out of that 40 Bitcoin, which was the only transaction in that wallet, 20 Bitcoin had been transferred to the wife's Bitcoin account. So we could see that by doing a back trace. So that gave us reason to believe that he probably had 200 Bitcoin. But then the idiot, for reasons that we really don't understand, because he didn't have to, transferred the other 20 Bitcoin back from this wallet that he'd used to pay his wife into the main wallet, which held now 180 Bitcoin. So we got hold of him and we brought him back in and we showed him the evidence of what had happened. And we said, okay, thanks very much, but pay us another 80 Bitcoin, which he subsequently paid. So my client was very happy because we'd found $200,000 for her. And if she's held on to that, she'll now be a multimillionaire.
I really, really hope so. I mean, on that, what's the wildest excuse you've heard from someone trying to downplay, for example, the value of their business? You must have heard some crazy stuff.
Look, the crazy stuff doesn't come from the people who are trying to downplay the asset value. The crazy stuff, unfortunately, comes from business valuators. Now, when you're valuing a business, you can value a business in various different ways. You can value it as a going concern, that if the person leaves the company, somebody else will buy it, it will carry on, and it will continue to make good money. Or you can value it that the company is worthless if the person leaves, it will go bankrupt, and all of the assets have to be sold on a fire sale. Now, as you can imagine, if you're at a fire sale, your value of your company is down, 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 down. Whereas if it's valued on a going concern basis, it's valued up, up, up. And we're not talking small differentials in valuation here. We're talking 40,000 to 2 million, 40,000 to 10 million. It's the type of range that these valuations can be in.
That's
And
silly money.
the sad part about it is that because somebody's a CBV, when they give their report to the lawyers on the defense side often go, well, it's a valuation by a business valuator. She's accredited or he's accredited, and therefore it must be reasonably accurate, and therefore we're not going to challenge it. And really, at the end of the day, that's the biggest disservice that lawyers can do for their clients, is not to have the company valued by another professional valuator based on maybe what would be a different set of assumptions. At times maybe it would be the same set of assumptions, but at times it's very much a different set of assumptions.
What happens to the partner that potentially doesn't bring in money, but they're doing other things like running the home, taking kids to school? What is the best advice that you've got for a person that's been doing that?
Well, the best advice is always have a nest egg hidden away. Because when a divorce takes place, one of the saddest things that we see so often is that the person who is the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad has no money to fight the action. They've got no money to employ somebody like me. They've got no money to employ a good lawyer. And they end up in a situation where they literally have no money in order to challenge business valuations, to be able to challenge what's happened to shares, be able to trace what's gone on with investment accounts. They have no ability to do any of that without having money.
Mm. And that nest egg, does their partner have access to that, for example?
No, well, the whole reason why it's a nest egg is because you don't want the other person to know that it's there at the time. And this
Mm.
is a horrible thing because divorces often don't take place over a matter of years. They sometimes do. But the majority of time when a divorce takes place, it's sudden. It's you walk in and find your husband in bed with your best friend. And you kind of go, this marriage is now over.
Yeah. Mm.
And but when something like that happens, as you can well imagine, you've got no time to prepare. There's no time then to raise money or to hide money or to do anything else. You don't have that opportunity. And unfortunately, most of us don't live in a circumstance where we can afford to get a nest egg behind us. I mean, we read
Mm.
often that most people have too much month, left at the end of the money, that they literally are living from paycheck to paycheck. And,
Mm.
to then put away 30, 40,000 into something that would be necessary should you find yourself in a divorce situation just isn't going to happen because you just don't have the funds to put away to start with.
Mm. How can you tell when someone's lifestyle doesn't match what they're reporting on paper? Is it all about receipts or is there more to it?
There's often more to it. So in construction, especially small construction companies, they'll ask to be paid in cash for a portion of the job, and a portion of the job they'll take a check for or in e-transfer. And the reason why they're doing that is so that they don't have to declare that income to the receiver. And you could have a look at their financial statements and they said, oh, I did 10 basement remodelings this year and I made $150,000 on the basement remodeling. And my costs of doing the basement remodeling were $140,000. And you go, right, so you did 10 of these jobs for a year and you only made $10,000. No, doesn't work like that. And then you start going through their bank statements and you see that the money that they're not spending money on necessities of life. So they're not spending money on food, they're not spending money on entertainment, they're not spending money on uh, anything where cash can be used. And then you think to yourself, okay, so this is what the game is. The guy's getting paid in cash, and he's going and he's spending the cash at Costco or at one of the grocery stores. And that's how he's converting that illegal cash into real product. It's a basic form of money laundering. But unfortunately, it happens all the time.
Do you think people know that they're doing money laundering, or do they think that they're just kind of juggling their money around?
They know full well what they're doing. They know that
Okay.
it's money laundering.
Oopsie.
They don't call it money laundering because, oh gee, that would be a crime, and I'd never commit a crime.
Never.
But at the end of the day, money laundering is when you get cash, you're hiding it away from the government, and you're
Mm.
not paying your taxes and not paying your dues on it. And
Mm.
that's what people do. Look, the easiest way to commit fraud is to take a set of financial statements and make them into whatever you want. So I can, even in an audited company, if I own shares in a business and it's been audited, um, you'll hear quite often that most companies have three sets of books. They have one set of books for the bankers, they have one set of books for the receipt of revenue, and they have one set of books which are accurate. And that's kind of what happens. So if I'm getting divorced and I've had my books audited and let's say I made $1 million profit in the last year, I don't really want to share $1 million with my ex. Come on. So all I do is I go into a decent program that you can edit PDFs in, something like Adobe. I go in and I just change a few of the numbers and I write my profit down to 100,000. And because they look as if they've been signed off by the auditors and everything else, nobody cares. And the wife's sitting there going, but how has he made so little money that year? And meanwhile, all it is it's been photoshopped. Quite often you'll see that the fonts aren't exactly the same. We've had one where the person had just put a text box over the actual number. So when we
Oh,
went
God.
into the PDF, we were able to see that, oh, this text box is there. And when we moved it, oh, hello, there's the real number underneath, which was quite funny. I
That's
mean,
very
that
fun.
that one
Not
was
very savvy.
that one was a slam dunk that he had committed fraud. But this
Give
is
each other a
kind
high
of
five. Got him.
the things that people will do. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me the amount of times that lawyers accept emails without questioning where they came from or what the attached documentation actually is. Because I can alter just about anything. And there are places that will do it for you. They'll alter all of your documents for you for a small fee. And you get a clean set of documents, tax returns, the whole works, which show that you're earning maybe 50% of what you're actually earning.
The clients come to you feeling lost. Do they usually suspect something is off? And how do you deal with that side of the work?
So when you have a look at people coming in, it is a very emotional time in their lives. It's very heavy and hard. And it, it's really a strange situation that they find themselves in, that this person that they loved for 5, 10, 15, 20 years is now hates them so much that they're willing to go to these lengths to try and destroy them. And I think that's the real hard part about divorce. And it's really hard for people to understand. We all understand that divorces happen, and we understand that there's various reasons for them happening. But when your partner then turns around and physically starts hating you, it really does make life very, very difficult.
I can imagine it being quite a hard job. So, what's your goal when you step into a messy divorce? Are you the financial detective, the truth teller, or the calm in the chaos?
We're probably the calm in the chaos, but we're also there to find the truth. And, the truth isn't what people want to hear some of the time.